So we are Group 7 and we will be discussing Philippines and China's relationship in economic, social, and political factors. So first, for me, Angela Raimundo, I will be discussing the economic factors. So in the economic factors, China and Philippines is in an not in an equal standing. China is probably like in in a helping position for Philippines because China is one of the biggest partners of the Philippines in the economic factor. They are third place in rank in the top 10 visitor markets in 2016. Also, China is one of the biggest business establisher in the country that their business is still growing as well. So in the next slide, there are five major things, but I am not going to be discussing them nor reading them. So here are the five major things in the economic factors between the relationship of the two. So next, the economy is still growing, but we can say that both the country are growing, not in the sense that China is the only one benefiting. That is my conclusion in the economic factors. So next, in the political factors, in the political area, the relationship between the two countries has been dominated by the territorial disputes within the West Philippine Sea to the naval standoff over the Scarborough Shoal in April 2012. And issues such as illegal occupation, unlawful establishments, and incidents of incursions within the Philippines EEZ has sparked this territorial disputes or relationship disputes between the two countries. Bilateral ties took a downturn when the Philippine government filed an arbitration case under the United National Convention on the Law of the Sea. So for the next slide, we'll be discussing social factors by Jacob Paulo Cacayan.
Now, moving on to the social factors, the relationship between Chinese and Filipino citizens are dwindling due to the conflicts that emerge between the two countries. Two of these conflicts are the prominent to this day is the territorial dispute in the West Philippine Sea and the coronavirus outbreak. Many Filipinos were enraged due to these conflicts, and their hatred were eventually directed not only to the country of China but to their citizens as well. Next. To vent out their anger, they ranted and voiced out their opinion regarding the matter in social media. And there are even some people that protested in front of the Chinese embassy in Manila. On the other hand, the Chinese citizen seems to have little to no response, probably due to the internal conflict, which involves the internal conflict between mainland China and Hong Kong. There are also Chinese Filipino or Chinoys, if you prefer them to be called like that, as we call them in the Philippines, that were getting hit by the brunt of the hatred of the Filipinos, even though the Chinese Filipino sees themselves as Filipinos as well. They are often victim of xenophobia. They are ostracized and avoided, and even to the point of being denied of public services, like comfort rooms and elevators. Next, please. Now, comparing to the present, the relationship between the Chinese citizens and the Filipinos during the 19th century is better, especially for the Chinese mestizos. The mestizos during the 19th century are one of the most prominent people and even help the Filipinos in mutually. But now, the Filipinos are now ostracizing them since they have a label of China mixed into their name. Now, as for the impacts of Chinese culture on contemporary Philippine society will be discussed by Chen.
Impacts of Chinese culture on Philippine society. The trade with China was the beginning of a major influence and contribution with the Filipino culture. One of the influence that the Chinese contributed that within the culture was culinary arts. Some culinary techniques that the Filipinos were taught included salted dishes, rice cakes, and noodle dishes like pancit. Next. The Chinese way of family structure also heavily influenced the traditional Filipino family structure. The traditional family structure is very rigid, authoritarian, and uses Chinese-based nomenclature. The eldest son is called Kuya, and the eldest daughter is referred to as Ate. Both of Kuya and Ate have authority and responsibility over their siblings.
That's all. Thank you.